Hi everybody, my name is Silvia. I am your host today. Welcome to this new adventure of mine. Welcome to In Moments of Inyeon. The aim of this podcast is to dive into beautiful topics, to meet great guests who we will have deep and personal conversation with, but in a very relaxed setting, just like when we have friends over and we have nice chats while sitting relaxedly on the sofas. And hopefully we create a nice community. So let's start. Alright, you guys, welcome back. What is In Moments of Inyeon? There is a word in Buddhist philosophy, precisely in Korean Buddhism, that means providence, fate, destiny. And it is used to explain the patterns of the existence of all beings. This word is Inyeon. In Buddhist philosophy, Inyeon refers to how relationships form over many lifetimes, and it is about relationships between people's lives unfolding in parallel, converging sometimes briefly, sometimes for longer period of time. Do you know when we say, I have the feeling that destiny brought me closer to this person or that person, or I have the feeling that without meeting that person, I wouldn't have this experience? Well, those are all moments of Inyeon. I always loved the concept of faith, especially from the Eastern and Buddhist perspective, and I am deeply invested in the concept of Inyeon. I've been a yoga teacher for almost 20 years. I've studied extensively the philosophy of yoga, also the Genesis philosophy, Bhakti philosophy, and I studied in Japan the Buddhist philosophy and Zen philosophy. I have a big passion about study in general, and for this reason, I consider myself an eternal student. Inyeon is found in Korean Buddhism and believes that relationships, even fleeting encounters, are part of our destiny. Together, Yin and Yeon provide an explanation as to why certain beings meet in certain places at certain times. And it explains how relationships form and why sometimes we say that certain encounters feel like matches made in heaven. It is said that there is Inyeon even if two strangers walk past each other in the street and their clothes accidentally brush, because that means there must have been something between them in their past lives. Those moments always bring a smile on my face every time they happen to me in the street, even though there is no interaction. Maybe you will start noticing them too, and they will bring a smile on your face too. Not all encounters are moments of Inyeon, but all moments of Inyeon are encounters with purpose. The meaning of the word is rooted in the word itself, as In refers to direct cause, and Yeon to indirect cause, or the conditions that make an outcome possible. If you wonder what that means, let me give you a really simple explanation. Let's think about apple trees. Apple trees produce apples because they originally come from the apple seeds, which is the direct cause, but also thanks to external factors and conditions such as the water, the sunlight, the soil, which are the indirect causes. In human relationship, a direct cause is a clear factor that leads to an outcome, while the indirect cause is a series of factors or events leading to an outcome, but often with intervening variables. Let's say that it is your destiny to meet someone tomorrow morning on your way to work. When I say someone, I don't mean it in a romantic way, even though maybe the purpose of your encounter is a romance, but there are billions of other possibilities. And let's say that you decide to go to work by car because there is a public transport strike, but you never use the car, you always use the trains. How many variables do you think this scenario could have? Loads, right? Maybe because you're going by car, you are able to stop to a different cafe for your morning coffee, and you will have your moment of Inyeon there. Maybe on your way to work, your car breaks down, and whoever arrives to help or support you could be your moment of Inyeon. Maybe it was meant for you to meet that person on the train, but going by car, it won't happen. Do you think, though, it will happen to you anyway, even a later date, if that is what is meant for you, or you think you just miss your chances? Everything exists and disappears because of its cause and conditions. Inyeon gives a comprehensible answer as to why certain beings meet in certain places at certain time. Inyeon has a deep connection with a Korean Buddhist concept that places a lot of emphasis on the word uri. Uri means we, and is closely related to the idea of community. So we as a community is a cultural concept with a sense of homogeneity. So uri, the we, is not just a plural form of I, but rather an extended I. It's not just an emotion, but it has a deep value in the culture. Inyeon, along with the energy of karma, carries a twisted meaning, suggesting a predetermined or fated relationship. So Inyeon set the scene with a connection by setting a destined fate, while Uri keeps nurturing and strengthening the bond through ongoing interactions and emotional connections. It is often said that the people who we meet and have a close bond with through Inyeon, especially people in our family, are very likely to be people that we met many times before. All moments of Inyeon are moments with purpose. Sometimes we meet with love, but sometimes we meet with dislike. Sometimes we meet with compassion, sometimes we meet with judgment, but we learn from all the moments. And sometimes the time required for us to meet our moments of Inyeon is a really long time. There is a concept of measurement of time called kop. This is again a Korean word, so I would like to take this opportunity to apologize to the Korean community for my pronunciation. 미안합니다. And let's imagine a large rock, and a single raindrop falls on the rock once every 1,000 years. The amount of time required for the rock to crack from a single droplet is 1 kop. So I'm sure that you agreed that potentially this could be a really long time. And it is said that if two people finally meet with a big destiny, a big purpose, it's because there must have been 8,000 layers of Inyeon over 8,000 lifetimes. So each moment of Inyeon is a step closer to the unpeeling, the uncovering of the 8,000 layers towards our destiny. In one of the many meanings of Inyeon, destiny takes the form of a grandmother spirit. Grandmothers occupied a special place in the Korean Buddhist culture. This fairy grandmother comes and ties a red threads around the little finger of each newborn, and winds and loops it through this person's life, tying him or her with all the people they're supposed to have moments of Inyeon with, until the threads ends at the finger of the person they have a big destiny with. So the catch is to recognize these moments, to trust our intuitions, to keep our eyes on the threads, and to treat every encounter with purpose and values, because each meeting is a clue, is a breadcrumb on our way to our destiny. The idea that our destiny is linked to the object of our everlasting love is very romantic, of course. Who doesn't like that? Who doesn't want that? But personally, I like the emphasis that Inyeon places on the journey rather than the destination. So the emphasis that is placed on every single winds and loops along the red threads, and not just where the string ends, and also the emphasis that is placed on compassion, the compassion that we're supposed to share with everybody and not just with our one and only. It is an act of kindness that acts, that behaves like an invisible hug, rooting deeply in the energy of Uri, the we, the community. So think how beautiful this image is. Is an embrace between the energy of kindness and an entire community. A community of beings we share special moments with and who help each other to get closer to one another's destiny. It is said that there is Inyeon even in the mere brushing of a sleeve or collar, and it is referred to brush in passing. So the question is there really a specific part of the body where we can connect and share this energy together? We know that the sleeve is the arm and the collar is the chest and neck area, and that implies that for two people to connect and share this energy together, they have to hug. My fellow Kizumbas dancers friends know this very well. We will speak to some of our guests about this chest connection that we experience while dancing and the bond that it could have into Inyeon. The idea that this energy is shared through the mere brushing of a sleeve or collar is rooted into a proverb that is found into a Buddhist concept that suggests that even the minor interaction and connections between people in these lives are believed to be the results of ties formed in past lives. So in Moments of Inyeon is a podcast where we will uncover all the twists and turns, all the winds and loops of many stories. The stories of the people I cross paths with, who are looped into my red threads and I am looped into theirs, and who I share special moments with while I keep following my path. I love the idea of being tied to many special individuals, exploring the possibilities of coming together for different reasons, and not just in this life, but maybe many lives before and after the present one. So we will dive into many beautiful topics such as yoga, meditation, psychology, philosophy, Ayurveda, traveling, languages, music, dancing, and the purpose is the desire to share many stories, but also the desire to share the knowledge of many people, because after all, it's our desire to share that unlocks our capacity to receive more. So the way I see it, the more beautiful stories I share, the more beautiful stories I will receive into my life that I will be able to share. As I said, the emphasis is placed on the journey rather than the destination. And compassion, love, and kindness are very important aspects of Inyeon. The same aspects are found in the philosophy of Metta, a Buddhist philosophy. And Metta is spelled M-E-T-T-A. The reason why I'm saying this is because nowadays it's mistaken a lot for metadata. In this first episode, I would like to share briefly what Metta is. Metta means loving kindness, and it is an attitude of benevolence towards all beings. While we might think of it as a feeling of affection, Buddhism teaches that Metta is not just an emotion, but rather a cultivated mental state in which our attention and concern are directed towards the happiness of others. But, as the Buddha said, and I will quote a passage from the beautiful book True Love by Thich Nhat Hanh, the father of Metta and Mindfulness, the object of your practice should first of all be yourself. Your love for others, your ability to love another person, depends on your ability to love yourself. If you're not able to take care of yourself, if you're not able to accept yourself, how could you accept another person? How could you love another person? So it is necessary to come back to yourself in order to be able to achieve the transformation. So even though Metta is an attitude of benevolence towards the happiness of others, we have the duty to start with ourselves. Think of yourself as a queen or king who rules over a very vast territory which has 5 rivers. The first is the river of our body, which we don't know well enough. The second is the river of sensations. The philosophy of Metta says that each sensation is like a drop of water in the river itself, and there are pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral sensations. To be able to understand our true nature, we need to sit down on the bank of the river and recognize as sensation arise. We will speak to some of our guests about these sensations and sensations that we experience through our physical body thanks to the five senses, and sensations that we experience through our intuitions thanks to our sixth sense. And how sometimes sensations might become emotions that we start storing within ourselves into our internal organs, and the effect that it could have on our mental health and physical health. The third is the river of perceptions, which is important to observe to understand the true nature of them. We will dedicate one episode to perceptions and the teaching of Thich Nhat Hanh, and how we explain that the human suffering is rooted into our wrong perceptions, and how we should come back over and over again to the mantra, "Are you sure?" to be able to go deep within ourselves and to truly understand how we feel about situations. Every time I start teaching a new teacher training, I always suggest my students to write this mantra, the "Are you sure?" mantra, on a post-it and place it somewhere that is accessible to them very often. Sometimes they come back and say that they've wrote it on many post-it and place it everywhere around the house, because this question, these three words, are the bells of mindfulness. The fourth is the river of mental formation, or what arises, what takes form in our mind every time we connect with sensations, so the second river. And the fifth is the river of consciousness. So this land, this territory, the vessel, is very vast indeed, but do you think we are responsible kings and queens? The practice of Metta and mindfulness consists of coming back to ourselves in order to be able to restore peace and harmony. To be able to provide help, we need to have a little calm, a little joy, and a little compassion in ourselves. Because the practice of mindfulness is not just something that is done in a meditation room, but every time we connect with activities such as cooking, doing the dishes, walking the dogs, driving, dancing. And in the process of meditation, we should be aware of all the sensory inputs. So we shouldn't shut off our senses. It is understandable that at the beginning of the meditation it's easier and maybe even more comfortable to close the eyes. But in the Zen philosophy of meditation, we don't do that. We actually look at what is in front of us. We allow the light to play with our eyes, to show all the shapes and forms of things around us, so things that exist in the universe, without though putting any names on all the patterns of light and colors and shades. In the same way that we allow the sound waves to play with our ears without putting any name upon it. So every time we connect with these activities and we bring the element of metta, we act according to the principle of ahimsa, which in Sanskrit means non-violence. It's a principle found in Jainism philosophy and in the 8 limbs of yoga. And it's a principle that is applied to all living beings, not just human beings. Because metta teaches that we should have an attitude of non-violence towards our suffering and pain too. Because it says that if I know that I am happiness, I'm not just happy, I'm actually embracing the energy of happiness to the point that I'm becoming happiness, I also know I am suffering. And if I know that, for instance, I am understanding, I also know that I am ignorance. So we should be able to look after and take care of both aspects and not just the pleasant one. I would like to share a little metta practice that helps to understand the true nature of our body. Today we're going to do it in connection with our heart, but you can do it with any of your internal organs. Your liver, your spleen, your pancreas, your kidneys, your lungs, your skin, your eyes, your brain. And it involves only breathing in and out and using some mantras. When I say using some mantras, I mean it as directing the mantras towards our internal organs, just like if we were talking to them. We start by breathing in and say, I am aware of my heart. Breathing out and say, I am smiling at my heart. You can stay with each set of mantra for as long as you like, few repetition, longer repetition, before you're moving on into the next one. Coming back to the breath, breathing in and say, Dear heart, I know that you are there. Breathing out and say, thank you for being there. In this way, our heart begins to experience relief. It works night and day to preserve our well-being and peace. We can sleep, not our heart. It pumps thousands of liters of blood each day to irrigate all the cells in our body without being able to take a break. Nonetheless, we neither pay any attention nor show any compassion and gratitude to what it does for us. And actually, sometimes it suffers silently for a long period of time. We're coming back to the little practice to finish it. We breathe in again and say, dear heart, I know that you're suffering. Breathing out and say, I am here for you. How many times you've been there for someone else, maybe a friend or family member, and said, I know you're in pain, I am here for you. Can we start talking to our internal organs in the same way? Can we start directing words of kindness, compassion, and love towards them? I know that some people would think that talking to our internal organs is very strange or weird, but Metta teaches that this is how we care for our pain. This is how we show the non-violence attitude towards our suffering. Isn't it odd that we are able to see and feel almost everything that happens on the outside, but we don't really pay much attention to what happens on the inside, even though almost everything starts within? Metta says that saying, I am here for you is an act of love, and acts of love are like the water we drink and the food we eat. And talking like this to our internal organs, or towards our internal organs, and saying, I am here for you. I know you're working very hard for me. Thank you. It will allow them to repay us with a better life because, and I think this is very powerful, our internal organs, our body are the conditions that allowed us the best life. This kind of meditation doesn't need to be done in a meditation room, neither in a quieter room. You can do it while you're doing the dishes, while you're walking your dogs. I'll do it, for instance, when I walk from my house to the train station. And meditating this way, by simply remembering to breathe in and out and talking to our internal organs, we will gain wisdom, understanding, and compassion towards ourselves first. Like the Buddha said, we start with ourselves, and then the Uri, the extended I, and entire community will follow. And just then, we will be able to direct our attention towards the happiness of others. So in conclusion, if Inyeon is a predetermined fate, where relationships and encounters are destined, and we are looped into each other's threads, and if nothing happened by coincidence, then neither you nor I can be a coincidence. So if interactions, encounters, and moments of Inyeon are never an accident, but rather the elaborated plan of the universe, that means that whatever part we play in the mechanic system of the universe, if we think of the universe as a machine, we know that it needs us because we are an important part of the machine to function properly. That means that this universe wouldn't be able to exist without you and I in it. I would like to finish today's episode with a little poem by Emma Zick, something I resonate a lot with, especially at the beginning of a new adventure. You will understand now why. Maybe you will find it useful too. The fear of being seen is rooted in the lie that you can get it wrong. This is rooted in the lie of needing to be perfect before you are allowed to express. Yet the sage within you knows that right and wrong are construct of the limited mind. The sage within fears no outside voice and seeks no external validation. The sage within knows that anyone who sits in judgment of your expression is sitting in judgment of themselves. Let the power of your voice be heard before you feel ready. Ready is an illusion. Make way for your divine to express through your vessel and do it imperfectly, over and over. This is why you came, to remember the universe through allowing yourself to be human. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you'd like to support or share these episodes with any of your friends, please don't forget to subscribe to any of your favorite streaming platform. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook under the In Moments of Inyeon name. Next time we see each other, we will have our first guest over. Until then, keep following your red threads and keep living mindfully in moments of Inyeon. See you soon. Bye, guys.